Ah, yes, the soothing music that can only be heard on SoCal Saturdays. Welcome in Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears, Louis Rabeau, hanging out with you. I don't know, for the next 45 minutes to an hour, whatever this thing ends up taking us. Of course, find him at Urban Handicapper on the socials. Me at Radio Louie. Would love to have you as a follower there. Of course, check us out at Horse Happy Hour on the socials as well. Really do appreciate all of you making some time for us here on Friday. If you're new to the program, in case you're checking us out because you saw the word Del Mar, for example, we're here every Friday at this time looking at the card for tomorrow, no matter where they're running in Southern California. That was Los Al the last couple of weeks. And of course, a lot of shows there at Santa Anita as well. But of course, the Del Mar thing going on right now. So we're happy to previewing them. Opening day today. Barry, you have been to Del Mar. I'm going to put you in a terrible spot. Why is it better than Saratoga? I'm just kidding. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And it isn't better. It's different.
I agree. Yep. Nope. It's one of the great things about horse racing, a bit like baseball parks, Barry, right? It's a little bit of a different experience to each one that you go to, right? Everybody turns left when they run. That's the same as in baseball, but slightly different for those field dimensions and all those different things. We'll cap the entire card today. You can follow along certainly here. Find us at horseracinghappyhour.com. Many different parts of the show. If you are new to it, we will go eventually inside the mind of Spears. We apologize in advance for those several minutes of Barry talking about something that might scare you just a little bit. I looked up his handicapping. We will have a Barry's boring play of the day, and you'll have to stay tuned to find out if Louis has a Jeff Mullins play of the day. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry, you ready to get going?
Absolutely.
All right, let's start with a 25 claimer on the dirt for this one. Going 6 furlongs, $43,000 on the line, 3 and up in here, Barry. Nothing other than that condition of being in for the tag here. You landed in a similar spot to me with a couple of your trainees, or excuse me, your starters here. But you're going to try Otto the Conqueror here. Barry's boring play of the day. Let's go.
Yeah, Otto the Conqueror, you got to think that those races at Churchill and Oaklawn are much better than this race here. Just by the appearance of some of the horses in those races. You'll see way back 2024, this horse ran pretty good against Raging Torrent. It's a pretty good horse. You see Roll On Big Joe in there, got beat by him, and then came out of those races 1-2 back to back. I just think this horse might lay over this field. If we get anywhere 3-1, that might be the bet of the year.
Wow. Okay. All right. 5 on top for Barry. I have the 5 in my handicapping. I'm going to go slightly different direction here. I'm going to try the 3 horse in here. 2-1 is the chalky favorite here in Comedy Town. Is 2 second place finishes at Del Mar. But Barry, I have a prediction for this meet, and I think Joel Rosario is going to push Juan Hernandez for the riding title, and I think it starts this weekend. He'll ride for George Papadopoulos here, and I think he's going to get a bunch of his mounts in races like this, where he's going to be able to pick off a bunch of these kinds of races. This is a horse that's been running very well in company at a higher level, the optional 50 kind of spot, drops into 25 here, and this is an every other type, and this is the every other race for this horse. I'll be interested to see this one tomorrow. So I'll try Comedy Town on top here. A horse that frankly has been in the money 11 times in 15 runs on dirt, I think makes a lot of sense in here. And again, the Joel Rosario angle. Yeah, that horse hit a second in your handicapping, Barry, so not too shocking that I would have it on top. But you're going to try Zeus's War in your trifecta play here. Laprida rides for Tim McKenna. What do you like about this one?
Yeah, this horse has some races back in 2024, early 2025 that are pretty decent and stack up well against this company. Last time they came running late, I expect much of the same at a big price, hopefully to round out the try. As far as Joel Rosario goes, he just has to stay out of his own way, honestly. He's obviously as talented as any rider in the country. But he has to basically win the races he should. And I think if that's the case, he'll do very, very well this meet.
5, 3, and 7 for Barry in the opener tomorrow at Del Mar. I'll go 3, 6, and 5. 6, the only horse in our handicapping we haven't talked about. Now it's the other rider that I expect to have a very good meet. His name is Juan Hernandez, rides for Craig Lewis in this spot. They're 2 that do hook up quite a bit, but mostly at Santa Anita, 1 for 10 in their last 10 at Del Mar. So I did not put this horse on top. This one ran very well on the turf last out, but has been in the money in dirt races, 7 of 11 starts. Lifetime has never won at the distance, but I think this one still makes sense in this spot. Softer spot for sure than this horse has been running in, mostly in optional claimers. Tried 25 last time, was good on the dirt. We'll switch over to the turf here. That's a 16% angle for Craig Lewis, who has not won a claimer in his last 32 tries.
Ooh, that's rough.
So that horse lands second for me, 3, 6, and 5 on the opener. Tomorrow, they're at Del Mar. Move on to race 2 here. By the way, this is the Horse Racing Happy Hour presented by AmWager. AmWager.com. Appreciate them hanging out with us each and every week. On the program, maiden special weight for California breds awaits us in race 2. And Barry, this is a little bit different than how they hand out the money at Santa Anita. $100,000 maiden specials for all breds, essentially, if you want to do it that way, for open company, if you will. Available $80,000 for Cal breds here, 2-year-olds in here. And I'll go first in the even races, generally speaking, on the program. And so I landed outside. I went to the 9 horse here in Take Revenge, a first timer. That Craig Lewis guy, here he is once again. A little bit better number in maiden special weights, but this is largely, Barry, based on recent works. And I love the work on July 2nd out of the gate at Santa Anita Park. I get Juan Hernandez on a daughter here, of Clubhouse Ride, one of these 2-year-old races that I'm always fascinated by. And this one's tough, man. This is a tough race. This is a tough race to figure out and try to figure out who's going to fit here. And I think it's a great spot to have your pick 4 start here, second leg of that pick 5. Maybe you have to get real aggressive there, but I'll go ahead and try a first timer here. I landed on the 6 horse, second at Thirsty Caitlin. She's going to be making her 4th start already. Started her career in late April. Will be making her 4th start here. Darn near got it done in all 3 of those races and has just finished second by a nose and less than a length in those 3 races, but seems to be a pretty consistent runner and frankly one that can absolutely win in this spot. You went to the 3 horse on top in race 2 here, Barry. Veronica Hers, another first timer. This is for Jeff Bondy, though.
Yeah, those of you who've been following California racing for quite a while, which I imagine most of our viewers have, no, Jeff Bondy used to be really sharp with first-time starters. And I don't think that kind of skill goes away. He's just dealing with different horses now. But Veronica Hers is a nice horse, I think. The Dam won first time out. There is a sibling that won first time out as well. I like that July 8th workout, 47-1 handling from the gate. At Santa Anita is a real good prep for this. Kind of tips their hand that this horse has some ability. And I like the nondescript sort of connections here in this race. And 8-1 seems about right. I like that price, and I think this horse will run pretty good.
Pretty fascinating set of workouts as well for that one, but a really good work from the gate. You mentioned last time Aranta is going to get the mount for Veronica Hers, the 3 horse in here. What do you like about the 5 horse here? Another first timer for Antonio Garcia, who frankly has pretty good first time numbers.
Yeah, he does very well first time out. And there's 2 works, the June 21st work, 48-1 handling from the gate, and the June 28th, 5 furlongs, 1 minute and 4 handling from the gate. Those are really good works. The longer the better, at least for me. And I think this horse might be formidable in a really wide open spot. I mean, the only the only horse that has some sort of consistency in what they do that you can see is probably the 6. And I think that horse is going to be the pace setter for sure. And everybody's going to clock off of that horse. And there's versions of this race where Thirsty Caitlin just gets away. I tend to think that this horse had her chances, and I put her in the 3rd spot. But, this race is really, really wide open. Honestly, I don't think any one of these horses winning would surprise me, even in the smoke. So, that's what I think about this race. And it's a tough race to open up the pick 4.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. Tasha, a daughter of Pavel, that's a Shackelford mare as well. So shouldn't have any trouble stretching out eventually, but seems to fit certainly based on the workouts here. Breaking from the 5 with Tashi, 3, 5, and 6 for Barry, 9, 6, and 1 for me. Interested that Julien Leparoux will be in town to ride on Saturday. I wonder if he won't ride a bunch of Del Mar, frankly, now that he's changed management. And Valberger Hoff trains here. This was one that was very good at 5 furlongs last time. I'll be interested to see if she takes another step forward. And I was right behind Thirsty Caitlin in that race. I'll just be interested to see if that's one. And frankly, we might get a price on taking the blinkers off here, which I think is kind of an interesting angle as well. But Valberger Hoff, not good numbers in maiden special weight. So hopefully I'm smoking hot. Part of a streak breaker for Val there. Moving on to race 3 here. This is SoCal Saturdays on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. We're capping the card there at Del Mar tomorrow. here on Friday. He's Barry Spears and I'm Louis Rabot. Thanks for hanging out with us. Race 3 is an optional claimer, 5 furlongs on the turf. If you have not followed turf racing at Del Mar, that is the sprinting distance, and they are quick races. Allowance optional, $20,000 tag, and $81,000 purse. We're on the California side of things, and it's fillies and mares 3 and up. Barry, where'd you land in race 3?
You know, in races at Del Mar, this 5 furlong distance, there's two things that really spell winners there. One is being able to get good position early, and the second thing is being able to finish late. And it's a tough combination to get a hold of, especially that 5 furlong distance. 5.5, you'll see a little bit different sort of strategy. But in this race, I ended up really kind of by attrition landing on the 2. Pavel Is Appealing. That last race was pretty decent. If you go back last year in the 2024, this horse was running pretty good. Obviously, something went amiss to lay this horse off from January of last year to April of this year. Ran okay first time out. They were a bit wide. Probably needed that race. Came back at 6.5 at Santa Anita, the flat 6.5. Ran really good. And I think with better handling, that horse might have come closer to winning that race. And I think that sets him up perfectly. Gets Rispoli, who rides pretty well for Doug O'Neill when he does ride for him. And I think this horse might be the goods. I really had a tough time between this horse, Pavel Is Appealing, and the 3, Ellen Jorth. They got a wide trip last time and laid off. And I think this horse might be live coming back.
It's a fascinating race for sure. You went 2, 3, and 7. I went 6, 7, and 2. We agree on 2 of the top 3 here for sure, but I went to that 6 horse here. In Berry Valley, it's a horse that's run a lot, 16 times, 12 times in the money though. And we've largely seen this horse historically on dirt, but ran really well at Los Al last time. We see those Los Al horses translate back to turf, very, very well. Last time this one was on the turf was actually going a route of ground at 1 1/8, but before that showed really well at 6 furlongs while in the Cliff de Lima barn. Has been in Labrada Barosio's here. A couple of the stats that I do like with him, he's very good in allowance races. Frankly, a little surprising given that he's largely an allowance trainer, how good his allowance numbers are, but also in sprints and being on that dirt to turf sort of move, 14% as well. Gets Kyle Frey here. I think, Barry, we're going to get all of the 6-1 on this horse. And so I think part of it is just a bit of value here. But after a year off, I'm going to steal from you a little bit. This horse came back running last time, and I like that a lot. I think should be very good here at the distance at 5 furlongs. It should be part of the equation at the end. We both have the 7 in our handicapping here. Lightly raced Zip Me Up, a 4-year-old daughter of Ohm. What do you like about her here?
Potentially could be an improving sort, even though they're a 4-year-old. They got one run back in August of last year, came back in May, ran really good in all 3 races and improved every time, I think. They were 40 cents on the dollar last time, so that might, kind of cloud things a little bit because they were supposed to win that race and they did. But I think this horse has some ability, has that combination of things that I think can win a race here, where they can get position, especially with Hector Berrios, and finish. And this horse loves to come late. I think they just might be a little bit wide, and it's going to be tough for them to close unless this pace falls apart up front. We'll see, but definitely in multis, I'm using all 3 of my horses.
Yeah, no, I think that's a reasonable take. 2, 3, and 7 for Barry. Again, I went 6, 7, and 2. Agree with everything you just said about the 6. It's 7, excuse me. It's interesting. We both got Pavel Is Appealing in our handicapping here. We saw Umberto Rispoli at Indiana this last weekend. Not a lot of success for him there, but frankly was up against it with some of those mounts. Will be interesting to see how he progresses as the summer goes along there at Del Mar as well. Moving on to race 4 here on SoCal Saturdays Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears and Louis Rabot back to the 2-year-old ranks here. Fillies, 2 years old, 5 furlongs on the dirt, $100,000 on the line here, Barry. Another brutal race to try to figure out here. And you and I went, frankly, in pretty different directions on this one. I go first on these even numbered races. The number 5 is Holmby, a first timer for Bob Baffert, and this would be Louis' boring Baffert play of the day as I go 5, 6, and 9. But first timer here I just really like that Baffert's gotten this one into the gate, 3 straight works. All of them have been very good. And so I trust that she's going to break well. This Daughter of Coronation. Are you ready for this, folks? Yes, I'm picking the Indiana bred at Del Mar in a 2-year-old maiden race. Why not? But 5, 6, and 9 for me, Barry. That means I have the 9 in my handicapping. You went to the other Baffert. Why did you like the 9 more than the 6?
Yeah, it was kind of splitting hairs because it looks like they've been running with each other in the morning. At least the last 3 workouts, they were definitely going at it. But I thought 2 things. One, Quattro Passi, the lone sibling this horse has, won at First Asking. That's a bonus. And I think this horse has been working longer work tab for Quattro Passi than Holmby. That's not a true indication of talent or anything else. I think this horse just might have a little bit more foundation, and that's really it. Sometimes when horses are closely matched, you got to find something to separate them, and I think that's it. But I don't think that both of these horses are going to finish in the money. So I went with one versus the other, and I dropped 5 Holmby because this horse was, kind of hanging out over at Los Al, and you know how I feel about that, especially with the Baffert runners. So that's why I opted to go with the 9 versus the 5. Janie Not Jenny, or Jeannie Not Jeannie, right? That horse ran really good first time out. I think they're going to progress and move forward after that race, and that was a really good race. They didn't really get a great start. They popped out of the gate first, but they took a second to get their wheels going. And I think this horse is going to run much better. And Buena Vida was well meant first time out as well. Was bet down to favoritism and just didn't do very much. And I think you could forgive that race, especially now that they're getting Kazushi Kimura second time out, a couple of nice works in tow from that layoff since May. I think this horse might be cranked up, ready to go, but kind of runs into a buzzsaw with these 2 Baffert horses.
It'll be an interesting one for sure. Quattro Passi is a daughter of Gervin, $190,000 purchase at the Keeneland September sale last year. And of course, Holmby, a $55,000 purchase at the Fasig-Tipton July sale in 2025. Both have been working, as Barry mentioned, in tandem there at Santa Anita Park in race 4, 9, 7, and 6 for Barry, 5, 6, and 9 for me. Moving on to race 5, continuing on with SoCal Saturdays here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. $16,000 claimer here, 6 furlongs on the dirt, Barry, $31,000 on the line, 3 and up. You have to have never won 3 races to qualify for this one. Nice field of 10 in here. Where'd you land amongst these 10?
Yeah, this race was kind of it's one I would call a junk drawer race, where everybody has had their moment in the sun. And it's just a matter of what kind of trip, where they're going to be in this race. These horses are battle tested for sure. But you have a horse in the number 4, Kid Dynasty, who just, for me, I don't know. I just can't get to this horse in this race. I know they won last time going away, got claimed. Farias does very well first time out. First time in his barn. But I like the 8. B. Grayson in here. This horse's form is a little bit muddied because they've been running on turf a little bit in there, but the dirt races this horse has at sprint distances have been very, very good. And I think that's enough to put this horse in a non-favoritism spot, but has a really good chance to win. I know they were in an unwinnable spot last time. It's a huge drop, but this is probably where they belong. I know in the past they won a $25,000 non-winners of 2 in May, and this might be an easier spot. So if we can get 4 to 1, that'd be great here.
Barry, you go on top with the 8. You went to the 4 second. I'm going to go ahead and have you talk about the 4 here. In Kid Dynasty, 3 to 1 here for Jorge Farias. You mentioned this horse just a little bit. Wins at that 12-5 level for non-2s. At Los Al, they claim that one from Tim Yakteen to drop into this spot. Farias's numbers, very good first off the claim.
Yeah, he's tough. He's a tough read because you see his 2 races haven't been in great company. He won a maiden 20 back in March. that was really soft. I know Soy Nagurn is in there, who we'll see in the previous race. But those horses weren't all that great. And this horse should have won, and they did pretty big. Then they had to go back to the $12,000 level at Los Al to win. And to me, that spells that this horse probably needs a much softer competition. And you're not going to get a soft spot here because all these horses are pretty evenly matched. Trips will be very, very important in a race like this.
I'll go ahead and go with and talk about who you have third. You and I have the same 3 horses, just stacked up differently. I'll try the 7 on top here. Boy, I need Julien Leparoux to start off the meet real well here as he'll take over the mount here for Jeremy Laprida. Steve Miotti drops this one back onto dirt, and that is a 25% angle for him switching surfaces. And Barry, so often on this show, we talk about switching surfaces, whether it's a turf horse that, the 3 weeks at Los Al, it just makes sense in their form cycle to go ahead and run there. Well, Staggered Lee, just because of that Cal bred thing next to him, is able to run on those kinds of races. Tried open company at the 10,000 level on the dirt though, and looked just fine under Hussein. And so picking up Julien Leparoux here should be good in this kind of company. I like the move to 16,000, winner at 25 last time. I love when trainers get aggressive like this, Barry, and move their horses even down a spot, just saying, hey, you want to buy this horse? Cool. But we're also going to win the race and get that check too. So I like that as a mantra here as well. So give me 7, 8, and 4 here. Again, Barry 8, 4, and 7 in race 5. Moving on to race 6 here. Talking Saturday at Del Mar. The pick 6 starts here. It is a $2 traditional pick 6 still at Del Mar. And it starts with another 2-year-old maiden special weight. Barry, I'll tell you what. And actually, let's kind of predict this just with these 2-year-old races and some of these other, claimers and different things. How many winners pay at least $25 just in the first 5 races here? I'm going to go with 2.
Really? I was going to say 1.
Okay. All right. I think we're going to get a couple blowups.
But I think we're going to get a lot of non-favorites, though. I think this sequence up to this point.
Yeah, we'll get a lot of $14 horses, that kind of thing.
Right, a lot of 5 to 1s, 6 to 1s. Yeah, I think
I'm okay with 14
around favorites. Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah,
no doubt about it. All right. Race 6, though, is on the dirt again. Like I said, 2-year-olds in here, Calbreds on the Colt side of things. The 1 will scratch out here in this spot, so no 1 available here. Race 6, Barry Beans, I'll go ahead and go first. You and I have the same one on top here in the 7 horse. Freedom Sings. It's interesting we landed on the same horse here, but the works all suggest that they are trying to get some speed into this horse and get him speedy out of the gate. Son of Independence Hall here gets Emisile Jaramillo, who would like something to say to me about Juan Hernandez and Joel Rosario trying to jockey at the top for the riding title here at Del Mar. But I just think this one first out just looks like the goods. Barry's been working like a maniac. We get Emisile. I think the 7 makes sense here.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at this horse's last 5 workouts, right, going from May 30th to July 8th, you can see the steady progression. It was 50 handily from the gate, 38 and 3 handily from the gate at 3 furlongs, then 37 handily from the gate, then 36 and 2 handily from the gate, then 35 and 4 handily from the gate. I just think this horse is very well meant in this spot, especially getting Jaramillo first time out. Independence Hall, I liked as a horse, and I think he's a little, sluggish as far as the sire goes. But his horses can run, and I think this is one of them, especially with a horse who couldn't get out of the gate first time in net par. If this one can get out of the gate in front of that one, I think it would be good money. Yeah,
I worry about getting out of the gate, essentially. And frankly, boy, this was what caught me off guard. Antonio Garcia's numbers in this kind of race, 5% maiden second, 3% with 2-year-olds, 8% maiden special weights. Those just don't add up to winning for me, Barry. I left that horse out of my handicapping, even though obviously I trust Juan Hernandez. I trust that most recent work. If the horse does, you're not wrong. If the horse gets out of the gate like it did in the last work, it's got a legit shot here. So I'm not going to fight you on that, but 7, 9, and 5 for you. I'll talk about the 5 horse who I put second in my handicapping here as a second timer as well for the Tree Spard. Why not?
Hey, you know what, man, Curtis.
I can't say a damn thing because my horse has, or the Tree Spard has the same exact stats as Antonio Garcia, but we're throwing the blinkers on, which I like for this horse in this spot. Would be a first, I think, 2-year-old training win for Treese this year. Aguilar keeps them out here. I thought the horse was okay at Los Al. Probably had learned some things. But if you remember, this was one, Barry, was at the end of June. This was the one that kind of bumped off the gate coming out. And so if we get a little bit of a cleaner break, I think this one might actually get the lead, which would be interesting. But I do think at least we'll be able to settle into a good spot. 2-year-old son, of course, of Smoke'em. That's the Union Rags line. A Tappet mare. How about that? Interesting breeding out there in California once in a while. So there you go. Fumo Grigio. Do you know what that means?
Horse.
Do you know what Fumo Grigio means?
Something about smoking, right?
That's right. It's gray smoke. How about that? Look at you. Look at you getting there. Look at you.
Yeah, I'm hanging out with a linguist. Right. Hanging out with a linguist. That happens.
Cunning.
Ooh, ouch. This is a G-rated show, my friend.
It's true. Race 7. It's an optional claimer. And if you are unfamiliar with the turf course there at Del Mar, when they run these kinds of races, 1 1/8 and under, sometimes they use the chute. They will do exactly that. 1 1/16 here on the turf for 3 and up. Essentially non-2 lifers. 50 is the tag if you want to, but it is an optional claimer, and people are running for $81,000. Barry, odd race. You're an odd fellow. You go first here. You landed on the 6 horse in here in Centro Delantero. What do you like about Centro Delantero?
Yeah, I really had a tough time picking between the 6 Centro Delantero and Paxa Wallop.
Paxa Wallop. Paxa Wallop.
But I ended up landing on the 6 only because I think this horse just didn't get a good run last time, was out wide, and gets a lot better post position. They ran this horse long, and I really don't think this horse wants to go 1 1/8, although they did run very, very well that day. You can see the time before that they really ran good against Captain Chuchis, who's a nice horse. And I think this is a really good spot for this. The pace should be honest and fair, and they should get a target to run it. So I'm going to go with Centro Delantero on top with Paxa Wallop, who kind of is similar in a lot of ways. And in fact, been keeping better company. I mean, if you look through the horses that this horse has been losing to, you'll see Full Serrano, British Isles, Mondigo, Skippy Longstocking, El Potente's in there, hiding in Honduras. This horse has been holding their own, but just can't finish races off. You see how they have more seconds than anything else. That's always sort of a red flag, even though I did bet this horse pretty good back in April. But we just got 2-1 on that horse, but I thought we were going to get 9-2.
Well, 6, 4, 8 for Barry. I went 4, 8, and 6. I largely agree with everything that you just said. Now looking back, this was a mistake by me because I agree with you. These are my 3, and I think they're all very similar levels. This was a chance for me to have a Jeff Mullins play of the day, and I blew it. Let's be very clear about it. I have a chance.
Man,
you went with the Jeff Mullins play of the day. I blew the chance at the Jeff Mullins play of the day.
So is that the mind of Louis now? Is that what
I'm not
just
proud of
went
it. It's more, we should have Mind of Spirits. We should probably have Louis' pronunciation guide. That's probably what we should have. It's probably not being inside my brain is not interesting. It's not. It just isn't an interesting.
I beg to differ. I've
wagering.
We've had stories on the road, man.
What is my wife wearing? And then does my kid need to get to football practice? And what am I making for dinner? And that's it. That's it. That's all I care about. That's the whole list. But I went 4, 8, and 6 in here for many of the reasons that you just heard from Barry. I'll talk about Midnight Strike a little bit for Neil Drysdale. I think this one's a really interesting horse, Barry. And when you talk about these turf races where we're going over 2 turns, I kind of just have a rule that if you are a routing turfs horse, that's always part of the equation. I'm going to throw you into my tickets. And this is a horse that hasn't been worse than 4th in its last, I think, 7 runs or at least 6. Armando Ayuso has been very good on this horse. A win in 2 seconds amongst those races, including getting nosed out last time at 1 1/8. Doesn't have to go quite that far this time. I think Midnight Strike a very logical choice in here for Neil Drysdale and Armando Ayuso. Moving on back to an even numbered race here in the late pick 4 starts one of the frankly, I think the race that everybody's kind of waiting for in San Diego Handicap here, return of journalism to Del Mar. Barry, I wrote, and it will come out tomorrow at the Sporting Tribune. Please check out my California handicapping article every week there. That I think I know why all of us, and I am included in this, I'm an Eclipse voter, and I did this as well. I voted for Sovereignty as 3-year-old of the year. And it was the right thing to do. He beat Journalism every time that they faced off. And he won the Travers. He won a bunch of great ones. He was very good last year. There's no reason to put Sovereignty down in this conversation. That's not what I'm doing, and that's why I opened it that way. But the most important 3-year-old last year was Journalism. And I don't think it's close. And his connections run him in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. His stretch run in both the Preakness, and then they decide, by the way, in June to bring him back in the Haskell, which he wins again. Just as far as our 3-year-olds went in the calendar last year, I don't think there was a more important horse in the country than Journalism, how his connections handled him, how well they handled him, how transparent they were with the entire process, how they were willing to ship anywhere with a horse that was largely based in Los Angeles. I came away from last year, and frankly, what I haven't even mentioned, his best race of the year was in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He just ran up against a trio of juggernauts in Forever Young, Sierra Leone, and Fierceness. Runs an excellent 4th in that race. I hope he's up for it again this year in the Breeders' Cup Classic because I think he's just a cool horse. Barry, there's my rant about how important Journalism was last year. I'm excited to see him back because I did make the case a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, after the Met Mile on Blood Horse Monday, I made the case if they keep putting him in spots like that, there's a world in which Journalism never wins another race.
True.
And so I think getting back to this kind of level makes a lot of sense. Now, Mile on the 16th, he's going to have to get going. I mean, for sure. They're going to have to rev him up. And Umberto Rispoli picks up the boat, which means they're really going to have to get going. But it is nice to see him back in this spot. Do you largely agree with what I just said about Journalism from last year?
Yes and no. I do think he was very important. Like you said, I mean, he was the horse to beat until they beat him. And then
well, that part's real.
Sovereignty handled him twice, and then he kind of tailed off. He had to get away from Sovereignty types in order to get it done, and that's what the question mark is for this year. Has the horse kind of gradually improved to where he can compete with Sovereignty and others? Now, Sovereignty may or may not have taken a step back. That's something we'll see, but I just can't wait till those 2 horses face off again. Hopefully it's before the Breeders' Cup, but I'll be happy with it at the Breeders' Cup as well. But this spot for Journalism, he should win. He's better than all these horses. Full Serrano isn't the same horse he was when he won the Breeders' Cup. That's for sure. But nobody else in this field can really hang with this stuff. So, I was in the camp like he may never win again, but I forgot about races like this where,
correct.
It's a good spot for him to gain some confidence. He probably needs it. And it's a good spot. I think Michael McCarthy planned this race excellently, and he should lay over this field at 1-9. I don't think he's going to be even money.
I agree with you. Probably not even money. You have Shea Brennan second. Why?
Because I'm not feeling Full Serrano at all.
I like this pick, by the way, a lot. I like this Shea Brennan pick a lot. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just asking you to walk through. Of the Calbreds, man, there's a case to be made that Shea Brennan is amongst the very best going right now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think. Who was the darling last year? Was Vodka. Not saying that Shea Brennan or
for sure. Yes, right.
Yep. Exactly. Mana Rose was just too tough for this horse, and they didn't get good trips. This horse has some versatility, can be up to close to the pace or come off it. I think that goes a long way in a race like this, where you have a horse like Miramati that only has one way to go. And I think they're a better finisher than Ironman Cal and Full Serrano. So second it is. We're gonna try to punch this exacta to the moon.
I was going to say the way to make money on this is either in a multi-race sequence, or if you think Journalism's going to win, which we both do, or to hit that exacta. And frankly, you don't want to hit it with Full Serrano, right? I mean, that would be
definitely not.
It would not pay in a way that would make it worth the wager. And so, yeah, I think looking for a horse like Full Serrano is really interesting. I'll go a slightly different direction. I do think Full Serrano is the second best horse in here. I think a mile and a 16th is about as far as he wants to go. So I think getting to this distance actually makes a lot of sense. Try to qualify for the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I think all of those things do make sense. It is interesting, too, to see that Journalism in here. This is not a win and in for the Classic. I think very obviously they're using this as a setup for the Pacific Classic, which is fine. But the Dirt Mile entry, Might be interesting by the time we get to the end of October, man. It might be. But
It might be, but you got to think about who might show up in that race. And I don't think he can hang with
going for
Dano and horses like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's real tough.
Let me make the case for the GOAT, who will break from the 7 here, the Chilean bred, who has moved to the United States. We saw this horse first out in the Triple Bend, Barry, and that is a 7-furlong sprint. It was won actually by Stronghold, who won the San Diego Derby a couple of years ago. I think that was purely a prep to just get that horse's legs underneath it in the Northern Hemisphere to get ready for this race. And I think that they're working toward the Pacific Classic and longer races. If you look at this horse's past while running in Chile, this horse ran at 1 mile and 3/8, 1 mile and 3/16, which, by the way, is the length of the Preakness. And at a mile, all 3 of those were grade 1s, and the horse won all of them, Barry. Now, I don't know how good the competition is in Chile. I'm not going to lie to the group here and pretend as though I do. But I think John Sadler used the last race to try to see if they couldn't be competitive in this kind of field. So while I do not have the GOAT winning here, it's absolutely on my list of horses to watch in Southern California right now is the Chilean bred, because I'm interested. I think Sadler is the exact kind of guy that you want this horse to be in the barn with. 25% sprints a route. When horses come off of this layoff at 19%, he's 25% type of trainer on dirt, considerably better than his turf numbers. I just think if you're going to drop this horse into North America, John Sadler has good a choice as any. Race 9 is the other stakes on the day. This is SoCal Saturdays on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears, Louis Rabeau hanging out with you. Of course, check out our friends at Amwager and Amwager.com. Appreciate them hanging out with us each and every week. The San Clemente Handicap is a grade 2 3-year-old fillies in this one, Barry. Historic race, frankly, at Del Mar. In this one, we've got some invaders coming in from different places, which I always love when we get to see those horses off the plane in Southern California. Race 9 here means you're going first, Barry. Where'd you land in the San Clemente?
This is another one that this race is all over the place. Yeah, this is this is going to be a great betting race.
You honestly, and I almost landed on the same top horse here. I'm so glad you have this horse on top, because I have it second, and it's not by a lot. So that's awesome.
Yeah. And the thing is, I like this horse quite a bit, and it's the 6 Light One Up. I really like the stretch out last time. They were out wide. They were in the 9 spot, literally 3 wide the whole way, made a winning move, took the lead in the stretch, and just kind of tired out, as they should have.
Right.
And I think, getting Jaramillo is a big plus, because he rides turf races like nobody else. Him and Hector Barrios coming out there from Gulfstream, they ride that turf out there very, very well. I just think they ran a winning race last time and just didn't get it done because they were out wide. Get a lot of post relief this time. A couple workouts since. I think they're ready to go. Doug O'Neill looks like he wants to be firing on all cylinders. We'll see how he does today, but he's definitely looks like he's aiming to win this training title.
I think it's not an accident, and I appreciate you bringing up that he booked Jaramillo for this horse. Now, Juan Hernandez picks up the now. I agree, but he picks up the Senorita winner in Majorum, who will break next to this horse from the 7, who I also think is a real contender here. But Light One Up, I think, for all of the reasons you just laid out, makes a ton of sense in here. What do you think the number will be by the time we get to the post? I'm going to go somewhere in the 6-1. Where I think it's still good value, frankly, if you want to bet this horse.
6 down to 9-2. 4.5 to 1 makes some sense here, especially when everybody's probably going to be around there. I really don't know.
I think you're right about that.
So I think favorite.
Pile of horses at 4-1. I'm with you.
I don't think Rating is going to be favored here. So we'll see. This is a really interesting race all the way around. As wide open as it is, the betting board's going to be interesting, but hopefully we can get that 10-1 on Light One Up. I'm going to be trying to light one up after that.
We'll come back to you in a minute. You can talk about biscuits, but I'll go 8-6-1 in this race. Inbox. The aforementioned Joel Rosario, second place finisher there in the honeymoon. Speaking of preps for this race, a mile there. We have to go a little bit further here, but I do think Inbox, or is this a mile? I think it is a mile, actually. Mile 16 was the last race. Inbox here I think makes a ton of sense. Has never been worse this year, at least in 2026, since moving to the United States. That a win on debut in America, at least. a second place finish at a mile and an eighth in the Providencia, where that horse was flying at the end, and then goes ahead and closes into it and just misses last time. Joel Rosario got the mount last time, I think, learned some things about this horse and should be able to get that one going early in the race. I'm also looking at 8-1 here, Barry. And I think in this kind of race, when you've got a bunch of horses that look the same on paper, you just kind of got to make a decision on what kind of value you expect to get in a field like this. And you pick a 10-1. I've got 8-1, 10-1 back to back on top here. And I don't feel crazy about it at all. Frankly, I think I can make a pretty good case for those two horses. Frankly, all three that I've got in my handicapping. I've got your 6 on my second spot. I'll make the case for Rating Party here. Ben Curtis out to ride a bunch on this card and Brendan Walsh sends this one in. It's one that won on debut at a mile and a 16th at Keeneland, not on Lasix as a 2-year-old. So I've already answered that question as far as I'm concerned. It's a daughter of Sioux Nation. And I don't think I've ever said that before, Barry. And so this one, I don't know a lot about. I know it's the Scat Daddy line. I just don't know a lot about that breeding line at all, but it's all turf on the dam side. So this one makes sense that it would want to go this kind of distance. It's going to sit a little bit closer to the pace than the other horses that we've mentioned so far that might be either on the lead or going to have to close into it. So I think Rating Party, just because of the running style, should be a little bit closer as she gets a little bit better in each and every race. And frankly, because she's breaking from the inside, I think she's going to have to be close to the pace not to get stuck so that Ben Curtis can make a move at the end. I'll go 8-6 and 1 here, Barry. 6, 3, and 8 for you. The only one we haven't talked about is ground support. And the Biscuit Man himself, Adam Biscuits, rides for Kelsey Danner, shipping out for this one.
Yeah, I think this is the horse that might end up going favored, just because of the company. They won the Miss Grillo last year, which was a grade 2, second time out. Ran a bang up race in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf. From the way outside, I think you ended up having this horse, didn't you? I want to say that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Which race?
The Valentina race. Valentina ground support.
Oh,
the
right, yes.
Juvenile Fillies turf.
Yep.
And then came out of that and came back running. I thought they ran pretty good against Tam Tam, who is razor sharp and kind of gets the job done when they have their way of it. And they did at Churchill that day. East Jabip overcame some trouble and ran on, and that's a nice horse.
God,
so
man,
ground support is coming into this race off a decent race and should get a pretty good trip here. I'm not really seeing all that much as far as speed goes, but there might be a lot of horses vying for that kind of second spot. This one being down on the inside probably has more of an advantage than most. So we'll see how this plays out. But man, would a 6-3-8 look really good in my pocket for a trifecta.
Well, we'll sit with the 8 and 6. So we'll decide to be friendly here. Because 8-1 and 10-1 and an exact, I'd be okay with that as well, Barry. So there you go. Race 9 in the books there. That is the San Clemente 3-year-old fillies. And that one, a fascinating freaking race there. So it should be a lot of fun by the time we get to tomorrow. That is SoCal Saturdays here on the Horse Racing Happy Hour. Barry Spears and Louis Rabeau are presented by Amwager and Amwager.com. Optional claimer in here. And I'm running. Oh, I'm rubbing my hands together because $81,000 on the line, $50,000 if you want to throw your horse in for the tag. And Barry, do you see who's in this race? I see Vitruvian Man in this race, my friend.
I see a lot of horses. I do.
I see Run Fast.
Run Fast.
Here. I see Lil Wayne in here. I see Lil Yachty in here. I see a little breaking from the inside. What's good? All right. You understand me? That's what I see. I don't have that horse on top, but we're going to talk about him anyway. I went 1-3 in here. I went to Clouseau. Do you get that reference?
Yes, Inspector Clouseau.
Attaboy. There you go. Hector Barrios. Speaking
my guy from Pink
of
Panther.
Hector Barrios,
Pink Panther.
He's going to be his Pink Panther reference. George Papapadromu trains here, and this is a horse that has just been very, very consistent in this kind of company. They tried him sprinting last time, just didn't get there, but Two Back did win at a mile, has 4 wins at the distance, 7 wins on dry dirt, which we will expect there in San Diego, 9 wins lifetime, looking for a 10th and 32 starts. Just a cool horse, Barry, frankly. 6-year-old gelding and has been kind of all over Southern California, running in these kinds of races, and I think has a real shot here to pick this one off. I will put Vitruvian Man in the second spot because this is a horse I like getting the blinkers. I like getting Lasix here. I actually think this horse has a legitimate shot here under Antonio Fraser, who made the trip for this horse to run in the Belmont. Wasn't great, but wasn't terrible in the Belmont either. And before that, of course, ran up against So Happy in the Santa Anita Derby, ran third in that race out of 7 runners. Before that was trying Turfway and, sloppy go as a 2-year-old at Churchill Downs. But this is one that broke its maiden at Keeneland, going 2 turns. I think can get better. I think the medication change here is going to be a big deal. First Lasix for Doug O'Neill is 18%. I think Vitruvian Man is legitimately live in this one. And then I'll go to the 3 horse. You and I very different in this race. I'll go to Farron, second time starter, 1 on debut for Bob Baffert. Will have to stretch out after a win at Los Al on debut, but does get Lasix here. Did not run with Lasix last time. Gets Lasix here. Nice angle for Bob Baffert, as is the Sprinter Route, of course. Both of those on opposite sides of 30%, but right around there. So I'll go 8, 1, and 3 here. Barry, you landed on the 7 horse on top here with Pure Madness. Another nice number here, going from turf to dirt with Brian Corner.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they wanted to win that race the first time off the bench back in May, and they almost did. This horse is just a runner, and I think it's just pure. You see those last 2 works were pretty good. The July 4th work, 1 minute and 2 in hand, and then the 59 and 1 in hand, which ended up getting a bullet designation on July 11th. I think this horse is on the rise, especially a lightly raced horse in a race where some of these horses are a little beat up in this kind of competition. I'm looking for a new-ish face, and I think Armando Ayuso can get this horse right up front or close to the lead and get a great trip. This horse hasn't really run a bad race, or has not, but never been worse than second. So I think that trend continues.
Speaking of seconds, you've got Magnify second in your handicapping. This horse has run over half of its races in second place, 4 out of 7. What do you like about Magnify here? Kazushi Kimura has been, look, they're getting checks. I mean, we're not going to fight that. This horse is getting checks, hitting the board like crazy, 6 times in 7 runs in the trifecta. This one, very good last out, though, at Santa Anita.
Yeah, he's hard not to dismiss because of the fact that he's so consistent, runs fast, just doesn't win. I don't know why. You never know why horses just don't want to pass horses at the very end, but here we are. Magnify exemplifies that, and of course you hit it right on the head. More seconds than anything else. That's where we put him.
7, 4, and 1 for Barry. I went 8, 1, and 3 in the penultimate race tomorrow at Del Mar. The closer will be race 11. And by the way, they do have the late double there, the $5 late double. They have started that at Del Mar. And of course, they do have the $3 late pick 3 in race 9. Starts with the San Clemente. Race 11 is a maiden special weight, Barry. We go back to the turf for this one to close the card. 3 and up on the maiden side of things. On the Colt side of things, I should say. $80,000 on the line here. Another fun one to close the card, Barry. Where'd you land? Other than in the same spot that I
did. Yeah, I thought the 6 Coke might be pretty good in this spot. It's really, it's a tough thing, these races with these young horses, especially ones that like the 4 Yup, who've never run in this country or haven't run on the dirt, but or the turf. I meant the turf, but it's just a tough race. It's always a tough race because you get sometimes these wacky things that happen. But if this race ends up being like it is on paper, I don't think there's going to be any surprises. It's going to be fairly chalky. I think I went 6, 6, 4, 3. I think I don't know. My computer just went out on me, but
you are 3, 6, 4 here, Barry.
I think. I'm 3, 6, 4. See, I should have asked you first. But yeah, conquer we must. I'm going to change my pick right here on the fly. And
do it. Go. I can do that.
Coke. I can't see the screen either.
Oh, got it. Okay, so 6, 3, 4. Is that okay,
between these 3 horses?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, honestly, all these horses are pretty much about the same, and they are interchangeable. I'm going to use all three of them in the multis, especially the doubles, because I think the winner is going to come from one of these three horses. The three is obviously ran good first time out, was off slow, and came running. Definitely should improve off of that effort. The 6 will have the lead or be close to it, which could be an advantage here. I don't see too many horses that'll be vying for that top spot early. And then who ran pretty decent overseas. I think that kind of class is comparable here, and they should be formidable getting Lasix first time for a D'Amato barn that does really well with first time foreign acquisitions. I think he's like 20% or close to it. And there's a couple of good works in there, which you really don't typically see from turf horses in general. So maybe that's a good sign.
I went 3, 6, and 10 in here. Barry Conquer, We Must, the Irish bred in here. Star Spangled Banner on the sire side of things. Second timer for Simon Callahan. This one debuted in April. A little bit of time off and going to Sprinter route, which is a great angle for Simon Callahan. I think this one makes a ton of sense in here. Agreed with you on Cake. That's what that horse's name means, by the way. Coke is just Dutch for cake. Usually K-O-E-K is like a griddle cake.
I like cake.
In Dutch, so like a pancake almost. So there you go. Cake,
like a Johnny Cake
there,
right?
For Phil D'Amato, who you just mentioned. We'll have a couple in this race. Throws 3 and 6. Agree with you on those two. I'll go to the 10 next. First timer for Richard Mandella, who does not debut many horses at this distance, Barry, but I think it's interesting that he's deciding to do that with this one. A couple of very good gate works amongst a pattern where they tried to stretch this horse out into 6 furlongs last time. That was handily at Santa Anita Park over the dirt course there. But man, Mandella with first timers on the turf, he gets at 19%, and it's a very small sample size with 20% debuting at least a mile. So this one to me, I think makes a lot of sense. It's very interesting. A gelded son of Quality Road. So obviously distance there, Uncle Mo mare should not be a problem at all. Obviously going to get Lasix as well in this spot. So just interested to see Corkscrew Andy try the last race there at Del Mar tomorrow. Well, Barry, appreciate you, buddy. Do you have a pick in the Haskell?
Yes.
Further. All right. Have a good night, everybody.
To the hoop.
Would it be great if I just cut you off right then? I was like, do you have a pick? And you were like, yes. And I was just like, mute. I didn't do that though. I'm riding Napoleon Solo. I don't want to get yelled at by Chad Summers again, so I'm just going to ride with Napoleon Solo. When he loses, I'll make fun of Chad Summers. But I'm riding with him. I'm going there. Speaking of riding, by the way, make sure.
Honestly, here's the try. Further Ado, Napoleon Solo, and Iron Honor.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you got Oselli outside of the trifecta here in this one. You've got the Puma outside the trifecta in this one.
Yeah, I think Puma might need one.
I think that's not wrong. Yeah, I think that's not wrong. And I think the Puma strikes me as like this year's Pennsylvania Derby winner. Like, I think he's that kind of horse, right? If it's not, Brad's horse that we just saw at Indiana League or something like that. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, I will be there tomorrow. Be tuned into at Radio Louie, by the way. I'm gonna try to catalog my trip to Monmouth tomorrow. So you're gonna see what I get up in the morning. You're gonna see my path to get to Monmouth Park tomorrow. I think will be a fun thing to watch. So make sure you are tuned in for that. You are very likely as well on that feed to see friends of the show, Steve Kornacki, Matt DeSantis, Matt Dinnerman. You'll see Sean Collins on that feed. So make sure you're tuned in at Radio Louie and certainly at Horse Happy Hour as well. He's Barry Spears. I'm Louie Rebeau. This has been SoCal Saturdays. We thank our friends at AmWager and AmWager.com for hanging out with us each and every week. On the program, look for my handicapping piece tomorrow at the Sporting Tribune. We'll catch you next week on SoCal Saturdays.